Hey everybody, Mr. Wagner here. We are going to begin on Breakout 7. Right now I have Breakout 6 in front of me. Let me go ahead and change that to 7. And if you remember in Breakout 6, I introduced to you the concept of functions. Now, the next thing that I want to introduce to you is the idea of parameters within a function, okay? And a parameter is basically a value that can be passed to the function when it is being called, and then you can do something with that value, okay? You've been using parameters a little bit along the way, but you probably haven't been introduced to them formally. So let me show you what I'm talking about. On line 10, remember we were working with this function called print I'm awesome, okay? Let's put the number or the variable n within the parentheses on that function definition, okay? So that n is now a variable when that gets called, and we can use that. So let's go here and on 11, and we're going to type in for I in range of n. Now remember, for I in range of n basically counts to n times, okay? So we are going to, and then I'm going to tab this line 12 over. So when I call print I'm awesome, it is going to print I'm awesome n times, okay? Now, and then it's going to return yes you are. Now, in order to make sure that all works, we need to make sure that we call that with the value n. So let me scroll down a little bit, and right here on line 51, message equals print I'm awesome. Let's put the number 5 in there, and then n becomes 5, and it should print I'm awesome 5 times. So let's run. What did I do? Oh, I forgot a colon here. I tend to forget colons. Anyway, run. Okay, so notice in our shell, it prints I'm awesome 5 times, and then it returns yes you are. Okay, so again, not that amazing when you're dealing with what we're doing, where that's just like a print statement or something. But it's going to become a lot more useful when we're making bricks, because we might need to make 10 bricks or 20 bricks or 1,000 bricks. And we can very easily do that by passing a number. Now, in the case of make bricks, I want you to think about the bricks are sort of in a column. So let's make our variable called calls, C-O-L-S, okay, so calls. And I am going to, on line 21, I'm going to say for C in range calls, okay? I didn't really like brick index, so I'm going to use C instead. And then I want you to know my bricks.append, and instead of brick index here, we're going to say C. So this should do exactly the same thing. If I call it with 10, make bricks 10, then it'll come down here and it'll say for C in the range of 10, and then it's going to make 10 bricks. Okay. Now, one thing that we need to do, we do need to make sure that we call make bricks with the number of columns. Okay, so we're going to scroll down, and where we make bricks is on line 54, and we're going to say 10 right here. So bricks equals make bricks 10. And we're going to do a run. Okay, very good, right? Okay. Very nice. All right, so let me close that. And remember how I said, okay, so now we can make 10 bricks, or we can make 5 bricks, or we can make 20 bricks, or 100 bricks, okay? But I need to sort of keep track of how many bricks. Well, the answer is I actually don't need to keep track of how many bricks because I can look at my bricks list and actually figure out exactly how many bricks. If I use a function called len, stands for length of bricks, it will tell me exactly how many bricks that I have. So if I come to the beginning of this and just say print length of bricks, let's run that. And you will see right here, I have 10 bricks, okay? And that can come in very helpful. And let me show you where that will come in very helpful. If we scroll down to where we're drawing our bricks, we say for brick index in range 10, and then we draw our bricks, right? How about instead of that 10, I do len of bricks, okay? Length of bricks, okay. So now when I run, everything will be, what did I do? Oh, I forgot a second parenthesis. So now when I run, it'll do the same thing. And now when I draw my bricks, let's see if I can put in like 17 bricks. We run the module and it drew 17 bricks. And if I drew 50 bricks, that would be great. If I drew 1,000 bricks, that'd be fine. I'm gonna actually make this 19 bricks because 19 bricks actually fits really nicely on the screen. So let me just do a run and we have our nice 19 bricks right there. Okay, beautiful. Look at that. All right, so I think it's kind of time to make this game actually work a little bit. So let's see if we can use our bricks and use our colliding with bricks to get the game to work. Okay, so let's scroll down just a little bit. We are going to go right after we check to see if our left-right button are being pressed. And what we're going to do is we are going to go through every element of our bricks and check that against the ball rectangle to see if we hit. Now, when you go through a list of something, that is called iterate, okay? So sometimes you're gonna hear me say, iterate through that list, and it's not a very common English word, but it's common for us coders, so let's start using that. So we're gonna iterate through our list. Now we're gonna do this just a little bit differently. Instead of going through the range of bricks, we are going to use a different way to do a for loop. And we're gonna say for brick in bricks, okay? Now notice how it's like for a singular in a plural, okay? So we're saying for a single brick inside of bricks, we want to do all the things within this for loop. So first thing is we're going to do an if pygame dot rect with a capital R dot collide rect, and we're going to check the ball rectangle. Okay, remember that ball rectangle has already been defined, and we are going to check that against brick, okay? Because brick is actually the first element of that list. Okay, so if the ball rectangle hits that brick, then we're going to do a couple things here. We are going to do a dy times equals -1. So we're going to reverse our y direction. And then we are going to actually remove that brick from the list, okay? And that's really cool. We can just say bricks dot remove brick. Isn't that clever? Okay. And one final thing, we know that the ball has hit one particular brick, so there's no point in going through all the rest of the bricks. How about we just break out of the for loop, and there's a command to do that. So we break out of the for loop and it doesn't have to go through the rest of the bricks, okay? So that's exciting. Let's see if that works. Go to run module, and as that ball comes up, it hits the brick and then the brick goes away. And it goes up, hits the brick, and the brick goes away. Goes up, hits the brick, and the brick goes away. So what we have here is a very rudimentary version of Breakout. And all we got to do is build on this. Isn't that cool? All right, here we go. So let me close that. And let's do one thing. Let's do one thing and then we'll close out Breakout 7 and we'll do other things in Breakout 8 and 9, whatever. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is let's look at our make bricks function. Now, remember how I said let's call that calls for columns? I bet you see where I'm going now. Let's create another parameter called rows. So now we have rows and columns. And it's kind of something that we always do. We always say rows, columns, X, Y. So I did put that first, okay? So let's see if we can code this rows in, okay? Now what we're going to do here is we are going to create a for loop within a for loop. So I'm going to do for R in range rows, okay, colon, and then we are going to do all of the stuff on line 22, 23, and 24, but we're also going to take into advantage the rows, okay? Now, if our columns was C times the brick width plus the brick spacing plus the brick initial shift, the rows is basically exactly the same thing. So instead of 50 here, we are going to say R times brick height plus brick spacing, parenthesis, plus brick initial shift, and then a comma. We'll do up, and I think we have an extra comma here. Let's get rid of that. And let's make that all nice and neat and orderly. Okay, so we're appending a brick. On the first brick, it's on the first column, first row. This first value here is our X, and the second value here is our Y, because our rows go in the Y direction and our columns go in the X direction. Okay, so we have make bricks, rows, column. If we call make bricks, now we have to have rows and columns. So let's come down here to where we're making the bricks, and let's put a 5 in the front of here. So when we call make bricks, we're making 5 rows of 19 bricks apiece. 5 rows, 19 bricks apiece. And let's do a run. And look at that, isn't that nice? Computers are really good at doing repetitive tasks. And that's why, well, that's one of the reasons why you want to use functions, because you can have that computer do that repetitive task over and over and over, and the computer doesn't care and it doesn't complain, and it's wonderful. So we have a nice, beautiful little breakout game here, and I'm going to call that for Breakout 7, and we'll do Breakout 8 next. Till then, everybody have an amazing day, and I will see you on Breakout 8.